Excavator power armor. Before anyone strapped a gun to power armor, a mining company in Appalachia strapped a pickaxe to it. Garahan Mining needed workers who could dig faster and survive cave-ins. They built a suit that could do both, and accidentally invented the platform that would change warfare forever. Garahan was pulling ore out of mountains that were running dry. The resource wars meant every scrap of uranium, every vein of iron, mattered more than the workers extracting it. So they built something that made one man worth 20. Exoskeleton frame. Strength amplification, enough radiation shielding to work in conditions that would kill an unprotected human in hours. The military saw something Garahan didn't. If you could make a miner this strong, this protected, what could you do with a soldier? Now, the excavator was never meant for combat. The frame is crude, the power consumption is terrible, and the armor plating stops rocks, not bullets. But it proved the concept. A human being could merge with a machine and come out stronger. That black and yellow paint scheme marks it as civilian, industrial, not a weapon. That distinction lasted about 5 minutes after the Pentagon saw the specs. In-game, Excavator gives you plus 100 carry weight when mining. Because that's what it was actually for. Everything else in this video exists because someone looked at a miner and thought, give him a gun. T-45 power armor. T-45 was a rush job. I want to be clear about that. China had invaded Alaska, American casualties were catastrophic, and the Pentagon needed something, anything, that could stop the bleeding. T-45 was the answer they could build fast. Not the answer they actually wanted. Deployed in 2067, this was the first military power armor to see real combat. The Anchorage reclamation was a meat grinder. Chinese forces had dug in, conventional infantry was getting slaughtered, and the brass was running out of ideas. So they sent in soldiers wearing experimental armor that barely worked. And I mean barely. The fusion core consumption was a disaster. Early models drained power in hours, leaving soldiers stranded in 100-pound metal shells. The joint seized in sub-zero temperatures, which is a problem when you're fighting in Alaska. Field repairs were nearly impossible. Soldiers described feeling trapped, claustrophobic, like the suit was trying to kill them as hard as the enemy was. But here's the thing. It worked, sort of. The T-45 soldiers could take hits that would shred unarmored infantry. They could carry heavy weapons that normally needed vehicle mounting. They could push through defensive positions that had stopped every previous assault. The line held. Barely. The Brotherhood of Steel uses T-45 as trainee armor now. It's expendable. The suit you give to soldiers you expect to lose. The cutting edge became the hand-me-down. That's how fast this technology moved. T-45 held Alaska, but holding ground isn't the same as winning. The military needed something that could actually push back. T-51 power armor. This is the one. The suit on the box. The suit on the posters. The suit that ended the war in Alaska and pushed American forces into mainland China. T-51 is what power armor was supposed to be all along, and it might have caused the apocalypse by being too good at its job. Deployed in 2069, T-51 fixed almost everything wrong with its predecessor. Fusion core efficiency jumped dramatically. Soldiers could fight for days instead of hours. The TX-28 microfusion pack on the back provided sustained power without constant drain. High-flow hydraulics made the armor feel like an extension of your body rather than a cage. Soldiers weren't just surviving anymore. They were dominating. The Anchorage reclamation succeeded because of T-51. Chinese forces had nothing that could stop it. Their own power armor program was years behind. American forces pushed the Chinese out of Alaska, then kept pushing into China itself. And that's where it gets dark. T-51 was so effective that it broke the strategic balance. Every nation with nuclear weapons realized conventional warfare against America was now unwinnable. The only remaining option was mutually assured destruction. The suit that won the war may have guaranteed the bombs would fall. Think about that next time you're admiring one in a museum case. The Brotherhood treats T-51 as sacred, a relic of humanity's peak achievement. Fallout 1's box art features it for a reason. In Fallout 4, there's a T-51 on display in the Mass Fusion building, like it's the Mona Lisa. Because, in a way, it is, the masterpiece that ended an era. So, if T-51 was perfect, why did the military build anything else? Because perfection is expensive. The factories couldn't keep up. The war wasn't ending. And America was starting to realize the enemy might not just be China anymore. T-60 power armor. Here's the thing about T-60. It's worse. Less protection than T-51, less refined, less everything. And the military loved it, because you can manufacture 3 T-60 in the time it takes to finish 1 T-51. When you're arming for the apocalypse, good enough beats perfect every single time. By 2077, the war with China was winding down, but the home front was falling apart. food riots in every major city, resource hoarding, civil unrest that made the government nervous in a very specific way. They weren't just worried about foreign enemies anymore, they were worried about Americans. T-60 was designed for mass production, simplified manufacturing, standardized parts that any mechanic could swap between suits. For the first time, the National Guard got power armor. Think about what that means. The government was preparing to deploy walking tanks against its own citizens. The Brotherhood of Steel shows up in Fallout 4 wearing T-60 almost exclusively, and that's not an accident. T-60 is what you can maintain when civilization collapses. When you can't build new suits, only repair old ones. The Prydwen's armory is stocked with T-60 because it's sustainable. The armor of survival, not superiority. T-60 was the last suit built for soldiers. What came next was built for something else entirely. X-01, power armor. X-01 was never meant for infantry. Let me be clear about that. While the regular military was mass-producing T-60 for the present, a shadow government was building something for after the present ended. The Enclave knew the bombs were coming. They'd known for years, and they needed armor that would make them untouchable when they crawled out of their bunkers to claim the ashes. The Enclave wasn't waiting for the war to end normally. Nuclear exchange was inevitable. The only question was who would survive it. The official U.S. government would burn with everyone else. But the Enclave had bunkers, plans, and a project completely separate from the military hierarchy. Advanced materials, experimental servos, integrated life support that could sustain a soldier in environments that would kill an unprotected human in minutes, including, notably, a nuclear wasteland. X-01 represents what America could have built for everyone if they'd prioritized quality over quantity, if survival had mattered more than winning. Pre-war prototypes existed but never reached mass production. The Enclave took the schematics into their bunkers when the sky caught fire. Post-war, they refined and deployed X-01 as their standard armor, the technological edge that would let them purify the wasteland and rebuild America in their image. Finding X-01 in the wasteland is finding something that was never supposed to exist outside Enclave control. Every set has a history. Every set was guarded by someone who thought they were the future of humanity. Ultracite power armor? Most power armor was built to fight humans. Ultracite was built to fight the Scorched, a threat so far outside normal parameters that the Brotherhood of Steel looked at 2 centuries of engineering doctrine and said, none of this applies. Start over. The Appalachian Brotherhood faced something unprecedented. Scorch beasts. And massive flying creatures that spread a plague capable of turning humans into hive-minded puppets. Standard power armor couldn't handle it. The radiation signatures were wrong. The sonic attacks shredded conventional protection. Everything they knew about armor design was useless. Ultracite is a crystalline material unique to Appalachia. Strange, irradiated, incredibly rare. The Brotherhood built armor around it. Bulkier than anything before, less mobile, but capable of walking into a Scorch Beast nest and walking back out. That was the only metric that mattered. Every suit represents a massive resource investment. Ultracite is dangerous to process, difficult to work with, and there's not much of it. The Brotherhood threw everything they had into this armor, sacrificed elegance for survival. They died anyway. The Appalachian Brotherhood was wiped out. Their ultracite armor is scattered across a region they couldn't save. When you put on a set, you're wearing a dead faction's last hope. Their final bet. The thing they thought would save them. It didn't. 6 suits down. From mining equipment to doomsday insurance. But here's where things change. The bombs fell. The governments collapsed. Power armor stopped being military hardware and became something else. A prize. A religion. A throne. The factions that inherited this technology didn't build it. They scavenged it, modified it, worshipped it, and some of them made it very, very weird. Raider power armor. Raiders don't build power armor. They find rusted frames in drainage ditches and military convoys. Rip out whatever's broken, which is most of it, and bolt scrap metal over the gaps. It looks like garbage. It handles like garbage. And it will still cave in your skull without breaking a sweat. The Commonwealth is littered with abandoned military equipment. When the soldiers wearing it died or fled, nobody came to collect it. Raiders figured out that even a broken T-45 frame still amplifies strength, still carries weight no human should be able to lift. They couldn't fix the sophisticated electronics, couldn't repair the precision servos, so they replaced everything with junk that worked. Corrugated metal, car doors, chain link fencing, spikes and skulls bolted onto every surface because raiders care about fear as much as function. No 2 suits look the same because no 2 raiders have access to the same scrap heap. The armor that represented American military precision now looks like a walking junkyard. There are no maintenance manuals, no training programs, just violence. Every Raider in power armor is a monument to how far humanity has fallen. Wearing technology meant to protect civilization while using it to prey on survivors. That's Raider armor. Functional junk, built by people who don't care if it falls apart tomorrow, as long as it works today. Overboss power armor. Okay, this one's ridiculous. Overboss Coulter built himself a suit that runs on Nuka-Cola Quantum and shoots lightning, because when you're king of the Raiders, practicality takes a backseat to making sure everyone knows you're in charge. It's not armor. It's a throne you can walk around in. Coulter ruled Nuka World through showmanship. His power armor wasn't designed for efficiency. It was designed to terrify. The Nuka World branding all over it, like electrical discharge crackling across the frame. Quantum power cells glowing that signature blue. Everything about this suit screams ego. The quantum dependency is pure flex. Standard fusion cores would work fine, but Coulter wanted his armor to require something rare, something only he controlled access to. The electrical attack is theater as much as tactics, designed to make Raiders kneel, not to win wars against organized opponents. And that ego killed him. The quantum power system that made the suit impressive also made it vulnerable. Water shorts the electrical systems. A squirt gun? I'm not kidding. A child's toy can disable this armor. Coulter was so focused on looking powerful that he built his own death into the suit. The Overboss set is a warning. Power armor doesn't make you invincible. It just makes you a bigger target with more ways to fail. Hellcat power armor. While Raiders were bolting car doors to rusted frames, the Hellcat mercenary company was doing something radical, reading the manual. They were military contractors before the war. They understood how this technology worked, and when civilization collapsed, they didn't give up. They adapted. Most post-war factions treat pre-war technology like religious artifacts, sacred, irreplaceable beyond their ability to understand. Hellcat thought differently. They'd built power armor before. They knew the engineering. When the world ended, they kept doing their jobs. Hellcat armor represents what humanity can still achieve when knowledge survives. Ballistic protection that exceeds T-51 in some configurations. Clean manufacturing lines instead of scrapyard improvisation. You've functional design born from military discipline, not wasteland desperation. These suits prove technology doesn't have to decay. The Hellcat company fell eventually. Their knowledge scattered. The armor exists in limited quantities now, jealously guarded by whoever finds it. But every Hellcat suit is proof of concept. The wasteland can rebuild. Someone still knows how to make something new. The expertise isn't completely lost. That might be the most hopeful thing in any Fallout game. Brotherhood Variants. The Brotherhood doesn't build power armor, they curate it. Every suit in their arsenal is maintained, modified, and I don't think this is too strong a word, sanctified. To the Brotherhood, power armor isn't equipment. It's a religious artifact. When the US military collapsed, the Brotherhood inherited its power armor stockpiles. They've maintained those suits for over 200 years through what can only be described as religious dedication. The armor is sacred technology, proof of humanity's pre-war achievement, the source of Brotherhood military supremacy. The hierarchy is visible in what people wear. T-45 for initiates, expendable soldiers in expendable armor proving themselves before they get the good stuff. T-51 for knights who've earned their place. T-60 for expeditionary forces that need sustainability over raw power. X-01 derivatives for elite paladins when failure isn't an option. The suit you wear tells everyone exactly where you stand. Different chapters have different approaches. Lion's Pride, the Outcasts, the Mojave Brotherhood clinging to survival, but the core philosophy is the same everywhere. Preserve what works. Maintain what survives. And treat every functional suit as irreplaceable. Because it is. 10 suits. Pre-war desperation to post-war religion. But we haven't reached the top yet. The final suits aren't just improvements, they're endgames. Technology pushed past every reasonable limit by factions that didn't want to survive the wasteland. They wanted to own it. Tesla power armor. Nikola Tesla died in 1943. Almost 150 years later, the Enclave was still weaponizing his work. Tesla armor takes the principles of directed energy and wraps them around a soldier. It doesn't just protect you, it makes you and your weapon the same thing. Multiple Tesla variants exist. T-45, T-60, and X-01 frames modified with integrated energy weapon capacitors. Those distinctive coils mounted on the shoulders aren't decorative. They're functional components that boost laser and plasma damage, turning soldier and weapon into a single integrated system. The Enclave developed these for energy weapon specialists. Against ballistic-focused enemies, which describes most of the wasteland, Tesla users have overwhelming firepower advantage. The fusion core powers both the suit and enhanced energy output. You don't carry a weapon, you become one. The visual signature is unmistakable. Electricity arcing across the frame, coils humming with contained power. Everyone knows what's coming. Everyone knows to run. These suits were rare pre-war and rarer post-war. Finding Tesla armor means finding the cutting edge of military technology, equipment that was never meant for general deployment, only for specialists who could use every joule of its potential. Hellfire power armor. The Enclave looked at a simple tactical problem. What if the enemy uses fire? Their solution was a suit that could walk through an inferno, keep walking, and burn everything on the other side. Hellfire armor isn't defensive. It's apocalyptic. The name isn't marketing, it's a mission statement. Developed post-war and deployed in the Broken Steel DLC, Hellfire represents the Enclave's shock troop doctrine taken to its logical extreme. Heat and flame resistance far beyond any other suit. Designed specifically for incendiary operations, using flamers, plasma weapons, and burning environments as tactical advantages rather than hazards. The philosophy is simple. The best defense against fire is more fire. And Hellfire units were deployed to crack fortified positions that conventional assault couldn't touch. Walk into a building, burn everything inside, walk out. The suits let soldiers use incendiary weapons at point-blank range without cooking themselves. The psychological impact was devastating. Wastelanders learned to run from that distinctive helmet, from soldiers wreathed in flame who seemed immune to it. The Enclave used Hellfire squads as terror weapons, not just to win battles, but to break the will to resist. Scorched earth? Literally. Subtle? No. Effective? Absolutely. X-02, power armor. X-02 is what happens when the Enclave stops compromising. Every failure of every previous suit, studied, analyzed, eliminated. Decades of post-war refinement poured into a single design. If X-01 was their prototype, X-02 is the production model. The final answer to a question nobody else was qualified to ask. The Enclave didn't stop innovating when the bombs fell. They accelerated. Limited resources, unlimited time, and a fanatical belief that they would eventually rule whatever was left. X-02 is the result. Accumulated technological advantage from an organization that never stopped planning for conquest. Every system is optimized. Improved servos for faster movement with less power drain. Enhanced sensors for threat detection and targeting. Radiation shielding that makes the glowing sea feel like a mild sunburn. Even the helmet's intimidation factor is deliberate. The Enclave understood that winning a fight before it starts is better than winning it after. These suits were meant for the next generation of Enclave leadership. After purifying the wasteland of mutants and impure humans, X-02 would enforce the new order. Every set represents massive resource investment. These weren't built for soldiers, they were built for rulers. The Enclave's fall at Raven Rock and Adams Air Force Base disrupted production. The suits that exist are guarded by remnants who still believe the plan can work. Finding X-02 means finding the Enclave's best and knowing they're still out there, somewhere. Waiting, Quantum X-01 power armor. I need you to understand what I'm about to tell you. Somewhere in Nuka World, a pre-war engineer looked at top-secret military hardware, looked at a tank of radioactive soft drink and thought, what if I put the soda inside the armor? Pre-war America was not okay. Nuka-Cola Quantum contains strontium-90, a radioactive isotope that gives it that signature blue glow. Someone at Nuka World's research division decided to infuse an X-01 frame with the stuff. The result glows in the dark, irradiates everything nearby, and is absolutely, genuinely dangerous. It's absurd. A soft drink company's experiment integrated into bleeding-edge military technology. The suit represents everything insane about pre-war consumer culture, and it works. The radiation damage is no joke. Enemies close to you take constant damage just from proximity. The psychological impact of a glowing blue suit walking toward you in the dark is significant. Found in the Nuka World Galactic Zone, this is a unique piece. There's only one. It's impractical, ridiculous, and absolutely functional. And also a monument to pre-war America's priorities. Even the apocalypse was a branding opportunity. Look, I don't make the lore, I just report it. Scorched Sierra power armor. The Scorched Sierra set walked through the Divide, a place so broken the sky burns and the ground screams. It's not the most advanced armor on this list, not the most powerful, but it's the armor that survived the most. And in the wasteland, that might matter more than anything else. Found in the Divide during Lonesome Road, this suit is unique. A customized hybrid that survived one of the most hostile environments in any Fallout game. A region where nuclear warheads are still detonating, where the Earth has been torn apart so badly the geography doesn't make sense anymore, where nothing should survive. Like someone took pre-war military technology and an NCR Ranger helmet, wasteland survival gear, and fused them into something new. The modifications are practical, not theoretical, tested in an environment that kills everything. The Divide destroyed military convoys, bunkers, settlements. But this suit made it through. Its existence suggests the wearer knew things about power armor that nobody else did. How to adapt, how to modify, how to endure when the world throws everything it has at you. Remember the first soldiers in T-45, suffocating in metal coffins that seized up in the cold, fighting blind through fogged helmets, praying the power held? Scorched Sierra is what 2 centuries of iteration, failure, and survival finally produced. Not the fanciest suit on this list, not the most advanced, just the armor that walked through hell and kept walking. That's the whole story of power armor, really. From desperate prototype to wasteland legend. From soldiers drowning in their own equipment to a single suit that conquered the unsurvivable. The technology got better, the stakes got higher, and somewhere along the way, the armor stopped being about winning wars and started being about not dying in them.